One introduction RAWSEP view: the United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only. For home building and furniture building, for just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree, but it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lungs, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom, the eco-design wood stove, and international convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. RAWSEP view: purple air PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.
Hi, my name is Lily. Andrew gave you the intro to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates and their concern for air pollution from indoor residential wood burning. Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, or RAWSEP, would like every near neighbor of an indoor residential wood burner whose wood smoke enters their yards and sickens the near neighbors to have a purple air PM 2.5 monitor hanging from the eaves of their home to measure the level of PM 2.5 entering their yards. That measurement of air pollution should be used as evidence of unnecessary air pollution, and each indoor residential wood burner should be shut down based on that evidence, one indoor residential wood burner at a time if necessary. The presentation by Andrew ended at 2 minutes 5 seconds. The same presentation by Emma starts at 2 minutes 3 seconds before the end of this podcast. So I am Lily, your timekeeper, and you can start the next podcast at 2 minutes 5 seconds in if you would not like to see the presentation by Andrew a second time. This presentation by me, Lily, ends at 5 minutes in. What you will see in the main content of this RAWSEP podcast will be news about air pollution from indoor residential wood burning, and how that air pollution is being combated by ordinary people just like you who are unfortunately near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners at this time. There will also be news about unnecessary and highly polluting use of wood as fuel in industrial wood burners and preventable air pollution from wood burning wildfires. There will also be news about air pollution from PM 2.5 from gas-powered cars. There will also be news about airborne diseases which are also preventable with vaccines such as COVID-19 and measles and whooping cough, to name just a few. In 2025, Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates is also concerned with combating the Trump destruction of government funding for programs which protect human health through the Department of Health and Human Services, and Trump destruction of programs which fund the science and medical research plan to protect human health from preventable illnesses. Protecting human health is a patriotic act, and our defense against enemies is weakened if we are not as healthy as we can be. Heat pump rebates are now offered by the federal government, distributed through the eligible United States, are available in 2025, and are the best, cleanest, and now cheapest alternative to indoor residential wood burning if that burning is actually done to purportedly save money. Wind and solar as sources of the electricity that powers heat pumps and electric cars is also cheaper than burning wood. The adverse health effects that are caused by indoor residential wood burning also come at a cost to near neighbors, both in shortening and ending their lives, and in actual hospital, clinic, and funeral costs. Instead of being compensated monetarily, near neighbors should instead be able to achieve immediate relief by stopping indoor residential wood burning in their hyper-localized neighborhoods, which relief readings from purple air PM 2.5 monitors used as evidence of air pollution will help them achieve. Welcome to news about hopeful scientific and medical achievements that will also help us achieve the goal of clean air to breathe.
Webisode 57DHYAFR December 25, 2025 Trump Tosses Lifelines to Polluting Coal Industry. In Webisode 57DHYAFR 1 Trump Tosses Lifelines to the struggling coal industry. The Energy Department ordered 2 coal-burning power plants to remain open, and the Environmental Protection Agency gave utilities more time to tackle toxic coal ash. 2 U.S. labor unions gear up to fight against the Trump Billionaire First agenda. The AFL CIO president says union ready to stand up for struggling Americans. Which side are you on? 3. How effective is protesting? According to historians and political scientists, vary 4 and 5 headlines main content. 1 Trump tosses lifelines to the struggling coal industry. The Energy Department ordered 2 coal-burning power plants to remain open, and the Environmental Protection Agency gave utilities more time to tackle toxic coal ash. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times, December 24, 2025, a day after the Trump administration acted to throttle offshore wind farms. It tossed 2 lifelines to coal, the dirtiest fossil fuel and a favored industry of the president. The government ordered 2 coal-burning power plants in Indiana to continue operating past their scheduled closure dates, while it also gave hundreds of coal plants an additional 5 years before they need to prevent toxic chemicals from leaching into sources of drinking water. The dual moves late on Tuesday were part of the Trump sweeping effort to bolster the struggling coal industry and avoid having coal plants close on the Trump watch. The day before, the Trump administration had dealt a devastating blow to clean energy by ordering the suspension of 5 offshore wind projects that were under construction along the East Coast and poised to deliver power to more than 2.5 million homes and businesses. Clearly, this is a full-throttle attempt to help the fossil fuel industry and to hamper renewable energy, said the director of the Kleinman Center for Energy Policy at the University of Pennsylvania. Burning coal produces more planet-warming carbon dioxide than any other form of energy. It also emits mercury, a powerful neurotoxin, and other heavy metals. While coal plants once generated nearly half of the American electricity, they produced just 16% last year. Hundreds of coal units have retired since the middle of the 2000s as utilities switched to cheaper natural gas plants and wind and solar power. The Biden administration had ordered coal plants that intended to continue operating through the 2030s to begin meeting strict wastewater standards no later than 2029. The Trump administration called those deadlines unworkable and gave utilities 5 more years to comply. The action would strengthen the American position as the AI capital of the world while bolstering industrial competitiveness, the Trump EPA said in a fact sheet. A boom in the construction of power-hungry data centers for the artificial intelligence industry is driving up electricity demand. An attorney with Earthjustice, an environmental law firm, said the delay could result in an increase in cancer, cardiovascular disease, and other health issues linked to coal ash discharges. It means that the 3 million people who still rely on drinking water that is found to be contaminated by coal ash wastewater discharges will have rivers and lakes and streams not cleaned up, he said. A representative of the coal lobby said the industry wants the EPA to eliminate the wastewater standards. Entirely complying with them would be so costly as to drive some power plants to close, she said. 2 U.S. labor unions gear up to fight against the Trump Billionaire First agenda. The AFL CIO president says union ready to stand up for struggling Americans. Which side are you on? Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Guardian, December 25, 2025. Trump has staged a year of unrelenting attacks on working people, according to the head of the largest federation of the labor unions in the U.S. Now they are preparing to fight back the president of the AFL CIO said it was gearing up to challenge the Trump Billionaire First agenda in 2026 and drive candidates in key elections to stand up for struggling Americans. The House of Representatives passed a bill on December 11, 2025 that would restore collective bargaining rights for federal workers in response to the Trump executive orders that stripped the rights from more than 1 million federal government employees. It was through a lot of good old-fashioned organizing, she said, and accused the president of overseeing the biggest attack on unions in our history by moving to eliminate collective bargaining for federal workers. The AFL CIO is now steeling itself for a fight to pass the bill in the Senate in January, kicking off what is likely to be another hectic year we are seeing of an economy that is working for the very rich, for the billionaires. The corporations and working people are piecing it together. She said they are often working 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. The future of this economy is absolutely in peril if you think about how inequality is rampant, but also AI and advanced technology is going to continue to create this divide between the ultra-rich and everyday people just trying to make a living. It is only going to get worse if we do not get the guardrails in place, have more power for working people to negotiate what they need, and bring some balance back into our economy. 3. How effective is protesting? According to historians and political scientists, vary from emancipation to suffrage of women's civil rights and BLM mass movement has shaped the arc of U.S. history. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Guardian, December 25, 2025. The Trump first and second terms have been marked by huge protests, from the 2017 March of Women to the protests for racial justice after the murder of George Floyd to the 2025 No Kings demonstrations. But how effective is this type of collective action? According to historians and political scientists who study protest, vary from emancipation to suffrage for women, from civil rights to Black Lives Matter mass movement has shaped the arc of American history, but think less about how protests might shape political strategy and put greater focus on whether participants in a movement feel effective, hopeful, and like they are part of a larger community. It is important not to get so focused on big picture consequences that we lose sight of protest as a way to hold on to your own agency. This is also key, since protests rarely incite policy or cultural changes overnight. Often their rates of impact are much more gradual. For that reason, looking at them through a historical lens, when movements can be digested in terms of years or even decades, is a helpful way to appreciate the tangible effect of taking to the streets. Protests often have a subtle cascade effect. These are long-term fights Headlines: The New York Times, December 25, 2025. Business: NVIDIA strikes a deal with Grok, an AI chip startup. The New York Times. China: what parents in China see in AI toys. The New York Times. China: why China, a one-party state, is backing elections in this country. The New York Times. Climate change: intense storm in Southern California brings heavy rain and forces evacuations. The New York Times. Consumers' phone's opinion: let your phone go gray. The New York Times. Dirty energy: Trump tosses lifelines to the struggling coal industry. The New York Times. Film fight scenes from Splitsville to Friendship. The 2025 best fight scenes. The New York Times. Film opinion: what Hollywood has that TikTok, video games, and YouTube do not. The New York Times. Florida Palm Beach rallies behind a restaurant manager held at Alligator Alcatraz. The New York Times. Housing: Trump says housing first failed the homeless. Here is what the evidence says. The New York Times. Illinois, Chicago, Trump military blocked, how a scholar nudged the Supreme Court toward its troop deployment ruling. The New York Times. Island Palau agrees to take up to 75 migrants from the U.S. The New York Times. Italy. Pope Leo surprises crowd at St. Peter Cathedral before Christmas Eve Mass. The New York Times. North Korea unveils the completed hull of what it calls a nuclear submarine. The New York Times. Pennsylvania fire from natural gas explosion. Immigrant nurse is among 2 dead in Pennsylvania nursing home explosions. The New York Times. Religion: opinion: the kingdom of God is ruled by the humblest of men. The New York Times. Trump idea: the Kennedy Center Christmas Eve jazz show canceled after Trump name added to building. The New York Times. Trump Epstein fallout opinion: the Epstein file drop is not about justice. The New York Times. Trump idea: opinion: the strange death of Make America Great Again. The New York Times. Ukraine: why Russia is likely to reject the new U.S.-Ukrainian peace plan. The New York Times. United States climate change: record-breaking warm temperatures forecast for Christmas across the U.S. The New York Times. Venezuela with airspace closed: a lonely Christmas for many Venezuelans. The New York Times. Headlines: The Guardian, December 25, 2025. California, Southern California braces as powerful winter storms threaten up to 8 inches of rain. California. The Guardian. Iran: there is no going back. Women of Iran on why they will not stop flouting dress code laws, violence against women and girls. The Guardian. Italy. Pope Leo calls for kindness to strangers and the poor in Christmas message. Pope Leo XIV. The Guardian. Spain. Falling price of cocaine forces drug traffickers to reuse narco submarines, say Spanish police. Spain. The Guardian. Trump Epstein fallout: U.S. Justice Department says it may need a few more weeks to process 1M more Epstein documents for release. Jeffrey Epstein. The Guardian. United States. How effective is protesting? According to historians and political scientists, very protest. The Guardian. United States. U.S. labor unions gear up to fight against the Trump Billionaire First agenda. U.S. unions. The Guardian.
Red Green Fox here. The quick red green fox jumped over the barriers to clean air. Red Green Fox here, ready to sing to you the names of the 2025 major wood-burning biomass industry subsidy opponents. 1. Biofuel Watch. 2. Bulkley Valley Stewardship Coalition of British Columbia, Canada. 3. Comite Shown Lucht, which means Beautiful Air Committee in German. 4. Dogwood Alliance. 5. Equity Group Foundation, nicknamed EGF. 6. Environmental Paper Network, nicknamed EPN. 7. Natural Resources Defense Council, nicknamed NRDC. 8. Prakaunia Narzexwisistik Istit, which means Workshop for All Beings in Polish. 9. Rachel Carson Council. 10. Solutions for Our Climate, nicknamed SFOC.
Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. Saying the quiet part out loud. Roar. Hi, I am Tiger. Our human asked us to get up from our naps and start Cat's Corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. She gave us a list of internet allies which we will post for her here.
Hi, I am Leone. It is better for your mental fitness to go to these websites than to go to bro sites for advice. Substack letters from an American Heather Cox Richardson. Substack your local epidemiologist. The Midas Touch. The Guardian. The New York Times.
One introduction. RAWSEP view: the United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only for home building and furniture building. For just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree, but it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen, and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is Not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut down and burn tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom, the Eco-Design Wood Stove. International Convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. RAWSEP view purple air PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.